Today, well, this evening, tonight, we're going to be reacting to the top 10 most disappointing big games. So those AAA titles, the ones with the big budgets, the big companies, the whole shebang, the hype, the generating advertisement, marketing, all of that for the past 10 years. And some of these games, I believe that's going to be on here. I probably guessed a few. I really had mad hype over for. So let's take a look, since this is going to be a good little long video. So let's take a look at the top 10. This is going to be terrible. I can already tell this is going to be terrible. Lord, please let us brace.
Tons of games are released that are hyped beyond belief. Some of them live up to it, but some don't. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, the 10 most disappointing big games of the last 10 years. Just a quick disclaimer, these games aren't necessarily bad. Some of them definitely are, but others are good games that just are definitely not what they were hyped to be. You'll be able to tell the difference pretty quick, but we'll just say that off the top. Starting off at number 10, Fable 3. If anything, this is actually the reason for that disclaimer. Fable 3 is, for all intents and purposes, a really good game. It's just definitely not what they said it was going to be.
Never was too much of a Fable guy, so
follow the pattern of Peter Molyneux
too much
really hyping the hell
dip
out of
into
it,
that,
and then it just kind of being a basic RPG. Now, for me, these are like really good basic RPGs, but they're not super innovative. They're charming.
I think I had
funny.
played.
Their visuals are extremely appealing. The
It
third
might
time
have been
around, the
Fable
story
3.
is kind of predictable, but
Is it Fable 3 or Fable 2? Because
basically
it was
what you're
like
getting
free to
from the Fable
download.
game by the third Fable, and you got it. And that's not necessarily bad. It's just every time it was supposed to be a revolution. And although the game got better, it was still kind of the same game 3 times. And trust me when I say I enjoyed it, and I would probably play the game a 4th time if they made the scenario just different enough. I mean, the first time around, yeah, cool, good bad choices. Third time around, I kind of just am there for the charm. Again, there's a lot of the charm, but it was disappointing. And moving on to number 9, it's
I remember this game.
Now that we got the good game,
Lord have mercy.
What it was promised to be. Let's talk about Duke Nukem.
Lord have mercy. This got to be up there with
in
ET.
development hell for a very long time. Duke Nukem 3D was a tremendously successful game, and in all honesty, it brought a lot of.
I don't know what they was thinking about.
The first-person shooter genre as a whole. So in 1997, they started making the sequel. And when you play that game in 2011, you can tell that they started working on it in 1997. Is it the biggest train wreck of all time? No.
Yes.
But it's a pretty big one.
It was trash.
Like let's just go ahead and say fits right in with the 1990s. Duke Nukem 3D, of course, was a tremendous hit in 1996. It was very edgy. It was at times very funny. But Duke Nukem Forever basically makes all the same jokes, which is, I mean, I rarely like it with sequel movies that come out a few years from each other, and the time between these games was significant. It just didn't work.
It was trash.
It was kind of just a basic Halo-type first-person shooter, which is also kind of weird considering Duke Nukem 3D was a Doom-like game. Also, Halo Combat Evolved was a decade old at the time Duke Nukem Forever came out. To basically rip that game off in a lot of respects, including the 2 gun carrying, it felt really dumbed down, and it really wasn't polished, especially for a game that had been in development that long. And on at number 8, the Game of Thrones RPG. This game came out in 2012, and it doesn't look like a game from 2012. It's fairly cheap looking.
Glad I never even heard of that game.
In all aspects but the story,
only
that's
played
exactly
the Telltale game series of it.
Cheap. The plot was actually pretty alright. It just doesn't stand up to any of its competition as far as mechanics or graphics or, well, anything but the story. It's a parallel story to the first season of Game of Thrones, and it was written in conjunction with George R.R. Martin, so it's kind of hard to be overly critical of the story. It's good. It's just, it's not fun at all, nor is it worth looking at. In all honesty, this could have been a book. Would have been a better thing, which sucks because Game of Thrones at the time, I mean, this was long before the terrible last season, way back when
Do not remind us.
Good, it was just begging for a nice.
Do not remind us of that, please.
It did not get it,
mercy.
though. At number 7 is Aliens Colonial Marines.
That was
Let's just
trash.
Go ahead and say this title got lied about.
That was trash.
6-year alleged development cycle. One of the big lies, of course, is the development cycle itself. According to someone at TimeGate, the company that actually made the game, Gearbox handed over a bunch of assets.
Like,
with no
they
real
had
time
a
for
gem
release
in the
dates,
making,
how it all came together.
but
And over the course of 9 months, they made a
was shit.
game out of it. Yes, a developer of the game on the team that actually made the game, not the team that was hired to make the game, but the team that studio outsourced the work to. They said they were given a bit and told to make a game out of it in 9 months. So, 6-year development cycle. Second biggest lie is the demo that they put out showing the game. Now, it's customary to put out a demo that's not optimized to run on consumer PCs. That's not abnormal. However, the game looked so much better in the demo than the game ever looked on anyone's PC actually playing. And while the demo was not a wreck, the actual game was a wreck in every possible way.
straight trash.
At number 6, speaking of downgrades, let's talk about Watch Dogs, the original. Probably one of the
That's my favorite. I don't care what anybody say. I love both of those games.
Better days.
I love both of those games. Screw this ad. I love
No,
both
Watch
of those
Dogs
games.
does
I don't
the
care. I was
stunningly bad
hyped and I
thing
was
of
still
having a
hyped. It was some
beautiful
stuff that I
demo
was mad about.
Very dull, not demo.
Like that
I
first
mean,
mission, like
shaders and
DeMarco,
effects
the
and
demo mission.
general atmosphere.
I wanted to play that exactly how they had it,
And over
but
the
they
years,
didn't
people
put it
tried
in
to
there.
prove
They
that
they
it's not
had
actually
where you could
downgraded,
go in
just
there
by
and
their
see it,
conditions
but it
and
wasn't
things
the
like that.
actual
But
mission.
then
It was like
Amater
a
figured
chase
out that
mission.
all of
I
that
was
stuff, all
pissed
the nice
about that, but
atmospheric effects, all
come
the
on, man.
explosions, all the shaders, it's all
Come
actually
on,
still
man.
in the
I love
game's
that
files. And they made a mod that reactivated
I love
them,
that game.
which
I
is
don't care.
weird.
I love that
Why
game.
wasn't that stuff just available?
I
on
can't wait for
at
Legion.
least? Combine that with all the problems that the game has, the pretty bad dialogue, the artificial intelligence that you can't really call intelligent in any way, the amount of invisible walls. They definitely cleaned stuff up with the second game, but yikes. The first one is just not enough.
It was.
And number
Stop.
5 is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Yeah, that was shit.
Oof. Remember when all we wanted was another Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game?
That was shit.
Remember how good all the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games are?
Tony Hawk
Yeah.
Underground.
It is with a heavy heart to bring up Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, which is aesthetically
Boy.
certainly a Tony Hawk game. It's
Yes.
got Tony Hawk's name on it. It's a skateboarding
Bro,
game. The controls
this
are
is-
vaguely
this was shit.
similar. I mean, enough that it's identified.
I don't even think I was
as a
hyped
Tony
for
Hawk
it.
game, but it's bad. This was a game that
I
came
don't-
out
I
on
think I was
Xbox
like,
One
why is
and
they
PS4,
coming out with another
and the
Tony Hawk?
graphics
It's
were,
like,
I mean, very PlayStation 2-like. A lot of people actually called them inferior to the graphics on the original game, which is not good. Probably my biggest gripe about this game is that the new stomp function was assigned to the grind button. So you did both with the same button. And the game couldn't tell which one you were trying to do when you're in the middle of a combo. So you'd be stomping a lot instead of grinding. But I mean, it's also bland and empty. There's no NPCs. It's buggy. I mean, you could honestly go on for a very long
And the
time.
whole Lil Wayne,
Calls it Tony Hawk
you could
Pro
play with
Skater
Lil
5.
Wayne bit. That was ass.
Number 4 is Mighty Number 9, which is probably one of the bigger ones on this list.
That-
honestly. Mighty Number 9 was,
I
of
think
course,
they
a
hyped
Kickstarter
that
darling, with Kaiji Inafune,
too
one of the
much.
original artists on the original
I
Mega
believe
Man,
that
being the
was
primary
a
name behind the
good,
project.
solid
the director
game.
as well, obviously. And
But
all of us
when
were
you
really
were-
excited, really
they were
happy to give
comparing
money
it
to
as
project,
the
making it happen. We saw so much
modernized
concept art, we
Mega
saw
Man,
footage,
like-
we saw stuff
like-
that made this look like
Because people
the
was like, you
ultimate
know,
return
like, when's
to
the next
a
Mega Man? It's been
style
so long.
that
It's been,
Capcom
like,
unfortunately
15,
seemed
20
unwilling to
years
do at
from
the time.
Mega Man. Then
And,
this came out,
wow,
and they
the game is
showed it, and
not
it was
good.
like,
I mean, if you're
oh my god,
particularly
this
interested,
might be
go
the
back
new
a
Mega
couple
Man.
years. I
Oh
was
my
the one who
god,
did
hype,
the
hype, hype,
bias for
hype.
this one. It's
Then
just,
when they played
it
it,
doesn't feel like it goes with itself. Some bits of the game
Like,
seem
it
like they're
was
sort of
like-
classic Mega Man-ish. Some bits seem later. Some just don't.
This was
seem
a solid
consistent
game. I
with
think
Mega
this was a
Man
solid
style
game. If
at
it did
all.
not have
levels
the
are badly
overhype that it
bosses are
had,
boring.
this would have
I
did.
mean, There's
this-
pretty much
this
no
would've-
charm
was
in any
great.
aspect
This would've
of it.
been great.
It never makes you be like.
I think they
"Ah, I
put
like
too
it."
much pressure.
And it's the kind of game that should do that, frankly. So when it doesn't, it's just like, what did I even buy this for? At number
Nostalgia.
3 is Anthem. Oh, Anthem, you look
Waste
so cool. We loved
of
your robot
80
suits. We loved you
fucking
flying around some
dollars.
jungle sort of hybrid.
Let me say that again.
planet. The concept sound
waste of $80 fucking dollars, and I'm cursing like that. I'm sorry, I don't curse like that often, but with this game, I wasted $80 fucking dollars on that Legacy Edition bullshit. Oh my god, when I say I was hyped for this shit, I was one of those people on the hype train. When I saw that intro, when I saw that little demo they had at E3, the trailer, oh my god, the potential was there, because it was like you had Destiny 2, which wasn't, since Destiny 1 was shit, and then Destiny 2 came, which was okay, but it wasn't gonna carry what Destiny 1 did, which was shit. So it was like, okay, BioWare next sort of got that Destiny feel, that an aesthetic, you flying around, you doing this and that, different armors and stuff, you fully customize, you're in a new world, different. It had all the runnings to be one of the biggest games, and it was a waste of fucking money. I don't care. I was day one. Let's play. It was trash, and don't forget to mention the connection issues. Like I believe that first week, it was like you couldn't get on. It's like once you get on, you had to stay on no matter what, because if you got off, you were fucking screwed. So yeah, this was. I think this was the biggest disappointment of the decade. I know this is like what, number 4, number 5, and number 4, but I believe this was the biggest one. I might be wrong, but this shit right here, I wasted my money.
It's so cool.
I wasted my money.
But there was that nagging live services little splinter that I'd stepped on more than a couple of times at that
waste
point.
of my
in theory,
money.
It basically delivers on.
But I had a sweet ass suit though.
But
don't get me wrong,
I don't
my
know.
suit was
It's
legit.
not what it should be. Like even in terms of a looter shooter with some sci-fi elements, it's just not there. I mean, there's not really much to it. There's a lot of cool ideas, but they never really get beyond that.
So much potential.
And don't get me wrong, like there's aspects of it that are fun.
So I loved it.
But you can't just do that.
It was so
that
much
wouldn't
potential.
Be a game, or enough of a game, anyways. And moving on to number 2, Fallout 76. I feel like
didn't
I
even
could
get
just
that game
like
to try.
repeat the titles for about a minute straight.
Once they showed it, I was like, what the fuck are y'all doing?
And you just be like, yup,
Like,
yeah. Fallout 76.
I wasn't even hyped for it.
Basically everything you like about Fallout, it's not there. I mean, aesthetically, it's there.
It was
You're
trash.
wearing a jumpsuit. You come out of a vault. In a lot of ways, the environment is pretty cool. There's not a lot of the Fallout world that has vegetation, so that was really neat. That's about it. A minute is not long enough to cover all of the flaws with Fallout 76. But the best way to describe them is that Fallout 4
Bethesda
is
tried
at
some
least a quality
bullshit.
game. And while I may think that
I still
earlier
need to play
entries in the
Fallout 4.
series are better, it
I still
retained
got it.
everything that made people love Fallout. It had a story, it had NPCs, it had progression, real progression. And although, yeah, I guess co-op would be cool in Fallout 4, when you hear about Fallout 76, you think, well, that could work. Except once you start playing it, you realize, no, it can't. It cannot work. Add that to all of the nonsense that they tried to fleece everybody with. The merchandise, the DLCs, the premium monthly subscription service in a game you paid $60 for. Oh my god. Fallout 76.
That's when Bethesda just lost all of me.
And finally, number 1, Mass Effect Andromeda. Now,
I don't know. I haven't played it yet. I don't know, but I watched it. I don't think it was the biggest letdown. You gotta understand, it's the 4th. It's basically the 4th game. It's like a reboot type of situation. But yeah, I don't think people was as much as hyped for Andromeda as they were for probably Fallout and what's that shit? Anthem. Anthem, I believe, had the biggest hype overall for a game, especially from BioWare, especially with their track record with BioWare and like it was their game. So I don't know. No, Mass Effect
series, right? We all know it's a damn good series. There is a case to be made against.
Like I can understand their gripe, especially with the graphics and how the characters issue dialogue, because Mass Effect is that type of RPG where you talk, you have dialogue between characters, and if it doesn't look right and sound right and feel right, it's
all hands on deck, everybody. There's a huge threat in the Reapers. Yeah, no, we're gonna go colonize some other galaxy. Let's dedicate a ton of resources towards that.
And then the story
so you
was
basically
like,
go steal some planets. Oh, I'm sorry, cohabitate on the planet.
But
and you know how?
But it had a run. It's not like
Mass Effect. All three.
Anthem was that game. It was that above all, be all. This is how you do it. This is where you want to take it. Type game.
Everybody's face in that game looked like it got hit with a frying pan.
Anthem should have been number
before they walked on camera, and everything about the game was bland and boring, and it was really hard to get engaged with it in any way, which sucks because honestly, it could have been cool had they just done a better job. But had to make Anthem because that went so well.
Thank you. That should have been number one. Why would you make that comment? That should have been number one.
If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so.
That should have been number one.
Every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription.
That was trash. Dude, Anthem had all the hype. It had all the hype. It was going to do what Destiny should have done in the first game, and then continue to do in Destiny 2, but didn't. This was going to be that game. I swear, when it first came out, everybody had Anthem. Like it was Anthem all down the timeline. And by a week later, it was like it was over with, done, kaput. I haven't touched it anymore. I haven't watched anything anymore. I think I reached like level, what was it? It was like 300 or something like that, armor and stuff like that. It's like whatever. You see how long it's been. I done forgot what armor level I was, but it was so disappointing. So disappointing. Fallout, Mass Effect, they don't cut the cake with Anthem. BioWare just dropped a big ass bomb right on it, and was like, what the fuck? I wasted $80 fucking dollars. Okay. But yeah, I definitely understand this list. Definitely like Mighty Number 9. That was overly hype. I wouldn't say like a disappointment necessarily in the fact of game wise. I think it was just overly hype because people was living off the Mega Man nostalgia. This was going to be the next port of that type of game. But Watch Dogs, you can say understandably with a few instances, but it wasn't that much of a disappointment. I loved it, especially 2 as well. I loved it. But yeah, thank you, Game Ranks. I appreciate you, but y'all should have had Anthem at number 1. That should have been number 1. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. Hit that like, subscribe, comments, leave the comments. I read them all. Thank you. I appreciate you. You guys have a good night. Peace.